WWE Night of Champions 2025 review and critique. Let me start off by saying this. We've been complaining for years about the pay-per-views in Saudi Arabia. However, this particular time, I think that we've seen proof that all the investment that Vince has made and Triple H has made along the years has finally paid off. The fans yesterday were absolutely insane. I don't know what happened to them. They weren't only going crazy, they were just actually cheering for the right people. Like, it's not like they were cheering for the generic face and shit. They were cheering for Johnny Wrestling, for example, at one point yesterday on SmackDown. At one point on SmackDown also, CM Punk pulled up dressed as John Cena, Doctor of Thugonomics, and people were singing Word Life from him. That is insane. I don't think that even a crowd from the United States would sing Word Life. And they just fucking did it. This was like the best crowd of the year, undoubtedly. So, with that being said, let's start off with the first match, which was Randy Orton against Cody Rhodes for the final of the King of the Ring tournament. This match was just exactly what you'd expect. A really hype type of match with a lot of aura. It also was somewhat surprising, like for example, Cody not seeming exactly just as face as we're used to seeing him targeting Randy's back all along. We also had an insane RKO, well, two actually, but the one that I'm talking about right now was just a regular RKO, just your typical run-of-the-mill, out of nowhere RKO, but Cody for some reason fucking bounced after taking it and landed on his back. That was insane. Then we had another one of these, which was with the Cody Cutter just reversed into an RKO, also insane. He did kick out of a lot of things, but overall this was a pretty decent match. I think that Cody was the right winner. I mean, yeah, we have another year of Randy losing, which, yeah, fucking sucks. But yeah, I still think that Cody was the right winner. The ending itself, well, I don't mind it with the turnbuckle over there. Cody, look, I think that Cody's heel turn is being teased a little bit again, because back then at WrestleMania he refused to even cheat after Cena brought out the belt to hit him, and this time he didn't hesitate to use the turnbuckle. Cody after this got a great promo about SummerSlam, going for the title. Yeah, just again what you'd expect. But one thing that I want to highlight, he didn't put on the fucking crown, which is something that I appreciate, and I will talk more about it later on. He just posed with it as he should have, and I don't think that he should ever wear that crown. Trust me, I will go back to this. Up next, we have Rhea Ripley against Raquel Rodriguez. This was a street fight. It was fucking brutal. Kind of confusing sometimes because they were wearing like essentially the same clothes. I know that they have to make something on the spot for Arabia always because, well, they can't be showing that much skin as they usually do. But this is just a detail. I don't really care. All the spots in this match were absolutely amazing. First off, you had Rhea being tied to the ropes and Raquel fucking smashing her with a kendo stick. She didn't hold back in the slightest with those hits. And then immediately after, Raquel just bashes herself into the steel steps. Then, I mean, you did have some weird spots, like that one in the corner where they always grab the chairs from, I don't know what the thing is called. That is just a consequence of this fucking shitty reinforced tables. And again, I'll go back to the reinforced tables in a while. Remember that. The ending, I love the ending with the riptide from the third rope. It was being set up all across the entire match with just a single table. They planted that table like at the beginning of the match and then they used it by the end. But the thing with that is that with one botch that would have been ruined. And it wasn't. That was really cool, the way that they set up that. One mistake and that would have been ruined entirely. So they just refused to make mistakes. Just as easy as that. Next up, we had Karrion Kross against Sami Zayn. Look, Karrion Kross has been very interesting lately as a character. But there are some problems there. First of all, he never wrestles, and when he does, he puts out stinkers. He's never compelling as a wrestler. He's just compelling as a character. And he's very compelling at that. But that's where the second problem comes in. Because every single time, all of his storylines lead to absolutely nothing. They never do anything. Like, you don't believe me? I'll give you this example. AJ Styles. He was feuding with AJ Styles this time. What happened with that? Huh? Nothing. Fucking nothing. AJ Styles just fucked off right now. I don't know if he's injured or something. But it just led to nothing. And that's what really bothers me about his character. Because, like, What's even the point of it? I mean, yeah, you may have this really interesting guy who goes around corrupting people or something like that, but then he never ends up corrupting them. He just pisses them off for a while and they fuck off. How is that interesting, dude? How does that work? Dude, no, it doesn't. It just doesn't. As for the match itself, it was pretty bad, honestly. Aside from a few spots from Sami, it was just never-ending, boring, terrible. I don't really mind it that much, but I just had to say this about Karrion Kross. I felt this way about him ever since he debuted in NXT, which was like around 2020 with no crowd, actually. Like, I saw him and I said, damn, this guy's character is insane, but then he won matches doing nothing. Triple H seems to really like him, even though he fired him at one point, so maybe he doesn't. I don't know. Nobody even knows. Everyone wants to give him a push. I don't mind the idea, but please fix these problems. Next match in the card was Jacob Fatu against Solo Sikoa. The first championship match of the night, even though this was fucking Night of Champions. And well, let me just make this short. This was a boring ass match. Jacob was like the only good thing about it, and well, maybe 2 or 3 moments of Solo being funny. Aside from that, nothing noteworthy. We have JC Mateo, why the fuck would you change his name? Running from the ring to do fucking nothing. We have the fucking Jesus of Wrestling, Tonga Loa, returning and not botching anything. Amazing, incredible, I know. And we have the debut of a brand new Samoan, Hikuleo. I don't know how you pronounce his name. Adam Cole didn't know either, and Wade Barrett didn't know either. They didn't even say his name. He just appeared, made Solo win, which was impressive, not gonna lie. I wasn't expecting Solo to win. Even if it was impressive, you still can't pay me to care about this. Pre-main event match was Asuka against Jade Cargill. And I feel bad for Asuka. I feel really bad. She returns and she not only has to wrestle against a woman that has the in-ring ability of a fucking broomstick, but she also has to eat a fucking pin against her and lose. Remember earlier when I said something about Cody not putting on his crown and how I said that was a good thing? Well, this may be a little bit of a reach, what I am about to do, but she did put on the crown. And here is my problem with that. The King of the Ring is a very historic tournament. It's historic because it has been around for 40 years or something like that. And yeah, we've had winners of it that are very iconic, like for example Stone Cold Steve Austin, I don't know, Bret Hart, Randy Savage, people like that. But it's historic, yeah, but it's not really a prestigious tournament. It's a piece of fucking shit tournament, as a matter of fact. You compare it to a tournament like, I don't know, the G1 Climax of New Japan. I don't even think that they should be uttered in the same sentence. One actually has some prestige and the other doesn't. And you know why that is? That is because every single time that everyone wins a G1 Climax, his name is just written in history from now on. Nobody will ever forget that this guy has won a G1 Climax. Well, there's also the fact that Japanese wrestling is kind of superior to everything else apparently. And they just pull off 5-star matches out of their ass. But compare that to the winners of the King of the Ring. Yes, you have your Stone Colds, you have your, Gunthers from last year who went on to become world champions. You have all your winners like that, but for every prestigious winner of the King of the Ring that you have your Baron Corbins, you have your Kofi Kingstons, you have your Selena Vegas, you have your, you have your Mabels, I don't know who else. All of them, what they have in common is that after winning this piece of fucking shit of a tournament, they go on to call themselves the fucking kings of wrestling, despite being fucking pieces of shit jobbers who couldn't possibly even be the kings of their own fucking house. That is what takes away the prestige out of a tournament who should have prestige, taking into account the amount of years that it has been around. So, I just hope that they don't make her like the queen, as in like a character of her being an actual fucking queen, because that will be pathetic. However, I think that is what they will do, because I don't see any other way for her character to move on forward. Her character is fucking boring, as well as her wrestling. Jesus, did she fucking botched a pin? How do you botch a fucking pin? What are you doing? But well, I don't really care for Jade Cargill. For all I fucking care, just make her the queen, and I will just skip her segments on TV. Moving on, please. We have the main event, CM Punk against John Cena for the WWE Championship. Look, I'm not gonna pretend like this was like the craziest in-ring match of all time, because it wasn't. But the magic that this match had, It's undeniable. Like it or hate it, this match, it had that. CM Punk himself had that fucking dog in him. And not only had that dog in him, but he had all the crowd supporting him, which was somewhat unexpected, taking into account his comments about Saudi Arabia. He did apologize, so he had that covered, I guess. Then you had Seth Rollins' intervention with all of his boys. I've honestly been loving his character. I think that giving him the Money in the Bank briefcase was the correct decision. And well, let's see where this leads us. The interventions then from Penta and Sami did feel kind of random. I think that Roman Reigns should have intervened. He hasn't been around for like 3 months. When will you show up, you motherfucker? But well, again, this isn't any Roman slander. You will never hear me say anything bad about Roman again. But aside from that, I think that this was really cool. They also teased a little bit John Cena's face turn when he refused to cheat. And then, well, he shook Punk's hands. He did try to low blow him, but CM Punk saw that coming from a mile away. And another thing that I want to say, Charles Robinson showed how he's the fucking greatest referee of all time. He just run 8 million miles just to take a fucking bump and stay there in the ground for like a million years. Just compare that shit to the fucking bum that was refereeing the match earlier, who refused to take Cena's belt away from him at the beginning when he tried to hit Punk in the face with it. Just amazing. Amazing. Charlie's the only one that has balls, and he proved that also when he took the chair off Randy's hands. CM Punk did kind of Superman his way through this thing. Like, 3 AAs he kicked out of. Like, wow. But aside from that, this was pretty cool. John Cena retained. And well, we'll have him against Cody in I don't know how long. I just hope that it's a good match this time. And that Travis Scott doesn't fucking intervene this time, because what the fuck was that? The show had some issues, okay? That's undeniable. But still, I think that it slightly approves because mainly of the crowd and, well, the hype around it. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. I don't know when that will be. Goodbye.